I've been the stadium announcer at Anfield for 45 seasons. I'm hoping to get there to number 46, but as I understand it, I'm going to be replaced by an iPod. And that bloody scoreboard. I don't know how many of you have been watching the new scoreboard. It does all sorts of wonderful things, but it just, it's a bit of Americanisation I don't like. And don't quote me. The Boston Mafia will be over me again. As I say, I've been there for a long time. I'm hoping to keep going a lot longer. But I've got to the stage where you worry about your health at my age. I went to the doctor last week and he said, "George, you need to get in shape." I said, "Round is a shape." I said, okay, look at these charts. There's a chart on the wall here. It says you should be 14 stone. I said, no, it says I should be 8'7". We come here tonight to pay tribute to this man. And I'd like to thank Frank for getting me involved here. It's really good to be here. But as I said, at my age, it's nice to be bloody anywhere, to be quite honest. I've got to thank Frank. And I'd just like to say also a lot of thanks to Francine for all her help tonight. Francine's a very lucky girl. Take a bow, take a bow. Francine's a very lucky girl because she inherited her dad's brains and not his looks. I'll say no more. I'd like to also, before I start talking about the same, apologise to the lady I was speaking to earlier, who was a bit confused. She thought she was coming to a Roger Moore tribute night. That's a joke. That'll mean nothing to half of you, but the older ones will know who I'm talking about now. But it's a tribute night to Saint Ian St John, a man with a unique place in the history of the greatest club in the world. It still is. Say you should never meet your heroes. To quote Ricky Tomlinson, my arse. Of course you should. But you may not believe this, but I didn't meet the Saint until just a few years ago. I started working for Liverpool Football Club on the 14th of August 1971. Now, it might have been coincidence, but 10 days later, Saint disappears off and gets hold on, he vanishes. I don't know if it was something I said. I hope not. But I can go back to Saint's debut. I was at Goodison Park, forgive the language, sorry about that. I was at Goodison Park in 1961 when he came and played his first game for the first team in the Liverpool Senior Cup. Now, I know it's difficult to think that I was actually old enough to be out on my own in 1961 as a football man, but I was, I assure you. I was only 3. But you know the story. He played his first game, he scored a hat-trick, and they ended up on the losing side. Everton won the trophy. Now, that's a phrase you don't hear used very often. In Liverpool in 1961, we're still in the old second division. What they call it the Championship now, which is crap. The top league is the Championship. You can stay. And actually, you stay down there and I'll go and do that bit. I'm getting itch. We were down in the old second division. We'd been down there since we were relegated in the early 50s. And I used to go week in, week out. We came second or third every year for a few years. And then came the turning point. Shankly, God bless him, he signed this guy and bigger on Yates. He said that was the turning point, and I can testify to that. It was the turning point for the Liverpool Football Club. following season, we went back up to the top league where we belong, and thanks in no small part to this guy here. 18 goals, I think it was, that season. And lad you may have heard of, Roger Hunt, he knocked a few in as well during the year. And of course, if you're old enough, you remember the gag. But the longest pass ever in the history of football was when Ian scored from Hunt's cross. There used to be, well there still is, there's a church at the bottom of Anfield Road with placards outside, and it used to get altered by Liverpool fans every time there was a home game. And my favourite, one day I used to have to walk up the hill from the old 68 bus route. When I was going into Anfield earlier on, there was a big sign saying, "What would you do if Christ came to Liverpool?" And when I went down the hill afterwards, there was somebody written on it, said, "Move St. John to inside left." But as I say, this was 1962, we went up. 3 years later came the big day, May 1965. You've been watching footage of it, it's still going around now. You've been watching footage, the FA Cup final. You've no idea how long Liverpool fans have waited to win the FA Cup. We'd been in existence in 1892, we'd won the league, we just couldn't win that bloody cup. May 1965, there we are, at Wembley, facing Don Revie's mob from over the other side of the Pennines. I don't know if you've ever been to Leeds. It's the part where the M62 is cobbled. The match was fantastic. It was so exciting, but even though it ended 0-0 at the 90 minutes, and you also see here Jerry Byrne, God bless him, he got cropped by little Bobby Collins very early on, broke his collarbone and played on. There were no subs in those days. People forget it. He played on a whole cup final and extra time with a broken cup final. Daniel Sturridge, take note. But gets to extra time. Not long after the kick-off, Roger scores and we're ahead. And we're thinking, why the hell didn't you do that 5 minutes ago? But never mind, let's keep going. Leeds equalised, and then 3 minutes before the end, who comes up with the winning goal? What a saint, what a goal. I was sat in my front room watching the match with my old dad. My dad's name was Ted Sephton, and yes, I really did have a father, Ted. Now, my dad, he had a trial for Liverpool in 1923. In those days, he was a big, strapping centre forward, big lad. He actually was the local area heavyweight boxing champion as well. He wasn't a bloke to be trifled with. But before Dad, by 1965, he was crippled with arthritis. He couldn't get out of his chair, he was in constant pain, he was in a terrible state. But he and I watched the game together, and when that glorious flying, swooping, bullet header went past Gary Sprague, he turned to me and he said, "Son, this is the greatest day of my life." That's what it meant for Liverpool fans. About 20 years ago, or so, maybe 15, I don't know, I can't exactly place it. I was at the car boot sale one morning and I bought a big pile of programmes, a big bag full, off this guy, and I took them home and I was sifting through. And in the middle of them was the programme from the Liverpool Senior Cup final in 1961. I must have had one sometime, but I'd lost a long time ago. The following weekend, I was at Anfield, I was walking through the trophy room, and there's the Saint. I've never actually spoken to Ian before, but he was standing in the trophy room. Actually, come to think of it, it must have been just a little while after Gerard Houllier disappeared. More coincidence, of course. But I plucked up the courage and went and said hello, and I said, I bought this programme from your debut, and much to my amazement, he said to me, I don't think I've ever clapped eyes on one of them. I said, you are joking. I said, well, you're very welcome, you can have it. And the next weekend, Liverpool home match, I took this programme in my bag of CDs to Anfield, and the week after that, and the week after that, and the week after that, didn't bump into him again for weeks and months. Then I saw him one day, and I said, here you are, this is yours. I mean, I was gobsmacked. I think he was gobsmacked as well. And I thought, this is wonderful. I've finally done something in return to the Saint for what he did for us. And then 5 years ago, I was at a dinner at Anfield. It was the annual Supporters Club Awards night. And I'm sitting there, feeding my face as usual, minding my own business. And it came to the presentation of the Tom Saunders Trophy, which is basically one that normally goes to big name players who excel themselves or stayed loyal to the club or are still hanging around. Saint gets up and he starts talking about this guy who's getting this trophy. And it slowly dawned on me. He's talking about me, he's talking about a guy who's worked here for 40 years. And I turned to my wife and I said, he's talking about me. I said, I think I'm getting this award. And she looked at me and said, of course you are, you daft bugger. And there I am on the little dance floor in the lounge, on the lounge at Anfield. My boyhood hero is presenting me with a trophy. That's as good as it gets. So, to finish off, on behalf of everybody here, on behalf of my dad, you gave him the greatest day of his life, and on behalf of me, you gave me the greatest day of my life. Saint, thank you. Actually lasted a bit longer, so there was 2 minutes of added time.
Nice one, John Sephton, come on. And George, you will always be the voice of Anfield.
Always.
Okay?